This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We are diving into the biggest headlines in college basketball, international soccer, and Olympic policy. Let's get you up to speed on everything happening in the world today.
Rick Pitino seeks revenge for a legendary 1992 buzzer beater.
Alabama basketball faces a timeline of serious off-court troubles.
Dylan Darling's father brings NFL pedigree to St. John's.
The USMNT discovers their path through the 2026 World Cup.
A massive 104-match schedule is set for North America's World Cup.
Elite 8 betting lines favor Arizona and Illinois this weekend.
Nebraska's historic run ends after a devastating coaching blunder.
The Sweet 16 bracket narrows as the Final Four nears.
The IOC implements a ban on transgender athletes in women's events.
The Hurley family coaching dynasty continues its dominant NCAA run.
First, the Leitner legacy. Rick Pitino is back in the spotlight, and he has a very long memory. After St. John's secured a Sweet 16 date, with Duke Pitino immediately pointed to the 1992 Elite Eight. That was the night Christian Laettner hit the shot for Duke, a turnaround jumper at the buzzer that broke the hearts of Pitino's Kentucky Wildcats. It remains one of the most iconic moments in sports history. For Pitino, the sting hasn't faded even after 34 years. He's hoping his Red Storm can finally deliver some long-awaited payback against the Blue Devils.
That 1992 game was a massive turning point for both programs. Duke went on to win their second straight national title, while Kentucky was just emerging from a postseason ban. Laettner's shot, off a full-court heave from Grant Hill, is the stuff of nightmares for Big Blue Nation. Pitino eventually got his title with Kentucky in 1996, but the 104-103 overtime loss in '92 is the one that got away. Now, with Dylan Darling leading St. John's, Pitino sees a poetic opportunity to close that chapter of his career with a win over Duke.
Next, Alabama's ongoing struggles. While Nate Oates has turned Alabama into a basketball powerhouse, his tenure has been clouded by significant off-court issues. The most high-profile incident involved former player Darius Miles, who was charged with capital murder in 2230. Though Miles didn't pull the trigger, he is accused of providing the weapon used in the fatal shooting of Jamea Harris. The situation became even more complicated when it was revealed that star player Brandon Miller had transported the gun to the scene. Although Miller was never charged, the incident cast a long shadow over the program's historic number 1 seed season and Final Four run.
The trouble hasn't stopped there for the Crimson Tide. More recently, guard Aiden Holloway was arrested in 2000-2006, adding another mark to a growing timeline of disciplinary concerns under Oates. While the coach has been praised for his high-octane offense and recruiting prowess, critics point to these recurring legal issues as a sign of poor program culture. Oates has often described these situations as tragedies, but the frequency of these incidents has led to intense scrutiny from both the media and the university administration. Balancing elite on-court performance with off-court accountability remains the biggest challenge for the Alabama program.
Now to Dylan Darling. St. John's guard Dylan Darling became an overnight sensation after his game-winning layup against Kansas, but sports fans might find his last name familiar for another reason. Dylan is the son of James Darling, a former NFL linebacker who enjoyed a productive 10-year career in the professional ranks. James was a second-round pick out of Washington State in 1997 and played for the Philadelphia Eagles, New York Jets, and Arizona Cardinals. It's clear that the competitive fire runs deep in the family, as Dylan showed incredible poise by calling his own number in the final seconds of a high-stakes tournament game.
James Darling was no slouch on the gridiron, recording nearly 400 tackles and 6 interceptions during his decade in the NFL. His best season came in 2004 with the Cardinals, where he racked up 93 tackles. Now 51 years old, James is watching his son carve out his own legacy on the hardwood. The New York Jets even gave a shout-out to the family connection on social media after Dylan's heroics. It's a great story of a second-generation athlete stepping into the spotlight, proving that the Darling family knows exactly how to perform when the pressure is at its absolute highest.
Shifting to the World Cup. The United States men's national team finally has a clear roadmap for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Christian Pulisic and company will compete in Group D, starting their journey on June 12th against Paraguay at Los Angeles Stadium in Inglewood. This home field advantage will be crucial as they look to advance deep into the tournament. Their second match is set for June 19th in Seattle against Australia, followed by a return to Los Angeles on June 25th to face a UEFA playoff winner. Fans are already circling these dates as the USMNT looks to capitalize on playing the world's biggest tournament on home soil.
The logistics for this tournament are massive, with games spread across the US, Canada, and Mexico. For the Americans, the schedule offers a mix of high-profile venues and challenging opponents. The final group stage match could be particularly tricky, as they might face a tough European side like Turkey or Romania. All eyes will be on the Fox family of networks, which will provide comprehensive coverage of every moment. With the final scheduled for July 19th at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium, the dream for the USMNT is to be there playing for the trophy in front of a massive home crowd.
Continuing with World Cup news. The 2206 World Cup is going to be a soccer bonanza like we've never seen before, featuring 104 matches across 16 host cities. The action kicks off on June 11th in Mexico City, with Mexico taking on South Africa. This expanded format means more teams and more drama for fans worldwide. Fox Sports will be the primary home for English-language broadcasts in the U.S., airing 70 matches on Fox and 34 on FS1. Every single game will be available in 4K, ensuring that the viewing experience matches the scale of the event. It's a massive undertaking that will dominate the summer sports calendar.
The schedule is packed with intriguing matchups from the very start. On June 12th, Canada makes its debut in Toronto against a European playoff winner, while the U.S. takes on Paraguay. We'll also see heavyweights like Brazil facing Morocco in New Jersey and Germany playing Curaçao in Houston. The geographical spread is impressive, moving from the heat of Monterrey to the atmosphere of Vancouver. With the new 48-team format, the group stage will be a non-stop marathon of soccer. Fans can use the Fox Sports app to keep track of every goal and every upset as the tournament unfolds across North America.
Next, Elite 8 odds. The Elite 8 is set, and the betting lines are generating plenty of conversation. Illinois enters their matchup against Iowa as a 6.5-point favorite. The Hawkeyes have been the ultimate bracket busters, taking down defending champion Florida and Nebraska to get here. However, Illinois already beat Iowa during the regular season and looked dominant in their Sweet 16 win over Houston. The odds makers clearly respect the Illini's consistency, but Iowa has proven that being an underdog suits them just fine. This Big Ten battle for a Final Four spot is expected to be a physical, high-stakes showdown between two very familiar rivals.
On the other side of the bracket, Arizona is also a 6.5-point favorite against Purdue. This is a fascinating matchup between two teams that took very different paths. Purdue struggled during the regular season with 8 losses, but found their rhythm in the Big Ten tournament. Arizona, meanwhile, has been a juggernaut all year and recently dismantled Arkansas. The total for this game is set at a high 152.5, suggesting we are in for a high-scoring affair. Whether Purdue's late-season momentum can overcome Arizona's sheer talent is the big question. Both teams are desperate to prove they belong in the national championship conversation.
Now, Nebraska's heartbreaking loss. Nebraska's historic March Madness run came to a crashing halt due to a coaching error that fans won't soon forget. In the closing minute of a one-possession game against Iowa, the Cornhuskers accidentally played with only 4 men on the floor. This allowed Iowa's Alvaro Folgueras to streak down the court for an easy, uncontested layup and an and-one foul. It was a shocking lapse in communication during the most critical moment of the game. Fred Hoiberg has done an incredible job building this program, but this specific blunder effectively handed the victory to the Hawkeyes and ended Nebraska's deepest tournament run ever.
The mistake was especially painful because Nebraska had led for the majority of the night. To lose on a 4-on-the-floor moment is almost unheard of at this level of competition. Social media was quick to highlight the still images of the play, showing the massive gap in the defense where a 5th player should have been. While Iowa deserves credit for recognizing the advantage and executing the play, the focus remains on Nebraska's self-inflicted wound. It's a tough way for a breakthrough season to end, and it will likely haunt the coaching staff throughout the entire offseason.
Moving to the bracket. The field of 68 has been whittled down to the Sweet 16, and the competition is fiercer than ever. Duke remains the top overall seed and the favorite for many experts, but they face a tough test against a surging St. John's team. We also saw Texas, an 11 seed, continue their improbable run from the first four all the way to the second weekend. The bracket is a mix of traditional blue bloods like Michigan and UConn, alongside gritty underdogs like Iowa. Every game from here on out is a battle for survival, with the Final Four in sight for the remaining programs.
Thursday's games already provided plenty of drama, with Purdue narrowly escaping Texas and Arizona dominating Arkansas. Illinois also made a statement by taking down a tough Houston squad. As we head into the Friday matchups, the pressure only intensifies. Michigan versus Alabama and UConn against Michigan State are highlight games that could go either way. Experts like Ricky O'Donnell are already ranking these teams by their championship probability. But as we've seen throughout this tournament, rankings don't mean much once the ball is tipped. We are just a few days away from knowing who will head to the Final Four.
Next, the IOC ruling. The International Olympic Committee has announced a major policy shift, banning transgender athletes from competing in women's events. This decision is based on mandatory genetic screening and will take effect starting with the 2028 Summer Games in Los Angeles. IOC President Kirsty Coventry stated that the move is intended to ensure fairness, arguing that biological advantages are too significant in a world where small margins determine victory. This follows years of internal review and intense public debate. While the IOC claims the policy protects the integrity of female sports, it has sparked a new wave of controversy regarding athlete privacy and the rights of intersex individuals.
Critics of the new rule argue that genetic testing is invasive and potentially discriminatory. There are also concerns about the reliability of these tests and how the results will be interpreted. While the policy doesn't apply to recreational sports, experts fear it could influence lower-level athletic organizations to adopt similar bans. The debate over gender eligibility reached a boiling point during the Paris 2204 Games, where the sex of certain athletes was publicly questioned without definitive proof. The IOC's new stance is an attempt to provide a clear framework, but it remains a deeply polarizing issue that touches on science, ethics, and human rights.
Finally, the Hurley dynasty. The Hurley family name is synonymous with basketball excellence, and Dan Hurley is currently cementing that legacy at UConn. With 2 national titles already under his belt, Dan has surpassed the coaching achievements of his brother Bobby, who was a legendary player at Duke before becoming a head coach himself. The brothers credit their father, Bob Hurley Sr., for their success. Bob Sr. is a Hall of Fame high school coach who won 26 state championships at St. Anthony High School. He turned down numerous college offers to stay at the high school level, focusing on developing young talent and setting a standard for his sons.
The bond between the Hurley brothers remains strong, even as they lead major programs on opposite sides of the country. Bobby, who survived a near-fatal car accident during his NBA career, has found his own success in the coaching ranks, though he's still chasing the championship hardware his brother has collected. Their father, now retired, is a constant presence at their games, watching with pride as the next generation of Hurleys dominates the sidelines. It's a rare family tree where the coaching pedigree is so deep and successful across multiple levels of the game. Their impact on college basketball is truly undeniable.
That wraps up our daily briefing. Thanks for joining us for this look at the biggest stories in sports. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Have a great day.